Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? You can write in the chat box. Yes. Thank you so much for confirmation. So, welcome to Revive the Basics 2.0. Um, this is a very special series which we are starting today. And the sole aim of starting this series is reviving all basic ideas of homeopathy. We all face different problems in our practice, in teaching also. And we just wanted to discuss all those things at one platform where we take basic topics and talk openly about it and discuss our experiences, our problems. So this is the series which we are starting today, and the first session is about career opportunities in homeopathy. I hope you all are excited to know about all the career options. I have tried to compile, whatever options are available in our field at one place, and I will be sharing about that with you. Myself, Dr. Yamini Ramesh, and I welcome you on behalf of Asha Homeopathic Academy. And let's start today's lecture. So let's start. So this is a saying which I really, really like, and it is absolutely correct that you get what you focus on. So focus on what you want. So in life, we always try to focus on, different things. Uh, but we don't focus enough on what we really want from our life, from our career. Because we are talking about career today, we have to focus on what we want instead of complaining that this is not available, that is not available. Career is not only about what is available and what you can do, but career is also about what opportunities we can create. So first of all, we will talk about what opportunities are available in the market already. And then we will also talk about what opportunities we as community can actually create for the economy for the upcoming generation. So from today, I just want to request everyone, please focus on what you want from your life, from your career. So today we are going to talk about career opportunities in homeopathy. There are so many career opportunities. A lot of people think that it's a very limited field and we cannot do much. There are very few opportunities, but that's not the right thing. We just have to look around and you will understand that there are enough opportunities available. So there are so many opportunities in government sector. I will just give you a glimpse of different things, and later at the end we will also take your questions. If you have any queries, we'll definitely try to address them as much as possible. So right now there are a lot of opportunities available in government sector, in private sector, in corporate sector. So corporate sector, you can say that it is part of the private sector. So we all know that, there are Ayush jobs available. There are jobs available for implementation of different programs of government in public sector. So from time to time, they would give you the vacancies where you can apply and get the jobs. So we will talk from basic to advanced. First of all, how you can build a career in homeopathy as a homeopathic physician, and then what are advanced opportunities available for registered and trained homeopaths in India. Okay, right now we are talking about Indian sector. So we all know that in 2014, this Ayush ministry was formed. It was named Ayush, in fact, in 2014, and it's been 10 years of Ayush this year. And Ayush stands for Ayurveda, Yoga, and Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy. So these five and now six systems are involved. These are all the systems. And we have a dedicated ministry. I want to tell you guys, we underestimate this, but in India, there is a dedicated ministry to alternative medical sciences, and this is first of its kind initiative in the whole world. In the whole world, there is no dedicated ministry for Ayush systems, but in India we have. And the ministry is taking a lot of steps. They are doing a lot of work to promote alternative systems of medicine, including homeopathy. So we have to recognize that. So the Ministry of Ayush was formed on 9th November 2014 with a vision of reviving the profound knowledge of our ancient systems of medicine and ensuring the optimal development and propagation of Ayush system of healthcare. So it is true that government is taking a lot of initiatives, and they are, providing a lot of schemes, job opportunities, uh, and different things for Ayush practitioners. Earlier, it was only a department under the health ministry. It was called as Department of Indian System of Medicine and Homeopathy, formed in 1995. And that was earlier responsible for the development of these systems. But then in 2014, the revolution happened, and they dedicated the entire ministry for the propagation of Ayush. Isn't it wonderful? I feel it is. So I have just taken one example to show you that uh, what is the scope and utility of homeopathy in public. So this whole data I have taken from Ayush website itself, Ayush Ministry's website. So this is not my data. This not my statistics. It is from the government. So this is because I belong to Madhya Pradesh, Central India. I'm talking about MP. This is just an example. So in MP, this chart is showing the number of patients uh, treated by government healthcare professionals, I mean the government Ayush doctors, in 2022 and 2023. So can you see the red graph is about the last year between 22 to 23, and the green graph is of 23 to 24. I mean up to 24 April 24. So can you see earlier last year the treated patients in MP by Ayush healthcare professionals were about 1.5 to 2 lakh in a year. And this year, in March, April only, you can see the surge. It is between 4 lakh to 4.5 lakh. And I'm talking only about the government data, not the private practitioners treated patients. That is separate. Can you imagine? People are opting for homeopathy like anything, and the graph is just going up. Okay. And you might be thinking that this graph is going low because this 24 is going on. That's why this graph is not here. So this is the data we have from one state. Can you imagine? This is just one state and not other states. That means people are opting for homeopathy. That means homeopaths have lot of scope to work for public for their healthcare. Okay. So we all know this is very basic, but I just wanted to mention that if you want to pursue homeopathy, you have to do an undergraduate course, which is called as Bachelor of Homeopathic Medicine and Surgery, BHMS. It is a 5.5 years course, 4.5 years in college and 1 year of internship. And anyone who want to actually pursue this course have to appear for NEET exam, which is a entrance test for getting into a homeopathic college. And then once you clear this exam, you can go to different colleges. We have lot of colleges in India. More than, for PG also, we have n number of, I don't know the exact number, but we have n number of colleges. And for undergraduate course, I believe this is more than 275 colleges, which is a huge number. Okay. Then when we talk about what career homeopath can take, so career in complementary and traditional system of medicine is much in demand because because of increasing autoimmune diseases, increasing so-called incurable diseases by modern medicine, increasing problems in lifestyle, food and nutrition, and a lot of other things. There are increasing number of non-communicable diseases around the world, around the globe. And especially in India, we are having a lot of non-communicable, that means chronic diseases. And the traditional system of medicine like Ayurveda, yoga, homeopathy, it can provide a very good alternative treatment to such patients. So all across the country, many prestigious colleges of homeopathy, which is run by ministry or by the state government, these impart recognized and formalized educational courses. In many countries, they don't have formal educational courses for homeopathy, but in India, we are very lucky that we have the whole structure. We have undergraduate course, postgraduate course, post PG courses like PhD and fellowships and diplomas and a lot of other things. So we have that course as training and teaching, and there's a dedicated autonomous research organizations which are also running postgraduate courses. Autonomous research organization like CCRH, the Central Council for Research in Homeopathy. We have that, and they conduct a lot of researches. So we know, I don't know how many of you are students and how many of you are practitioners, but I hope you all know that we have the postgraduate degree called MD in homeopathy. And these are the subjects in which you can pursue MD. So you can do MD in practice of medicine, psychiatry, homeopathic materia medica, organon, pediatrics, pharmacy, repertory, and from last year only, two new subjects are introduced, which are dermatology and community medicine. So from this year, I believe that few colleges will start MD in these two subjects as well. That we have to see that which college starts it, because the all India postgraduate entrance exam is happening in July. I feel it is going to happen in July, and after that we'll get to know that which college is actually conducting these two courses in dermatology and community medicine. But this is available, so you can pursue career, you can do postgraduate in this. And a lot of people ask that which college is best. So I just want to tell you that there are few government colleges, very few, and many private colleges in India, which provides, all these courses. So you have to select on the basis of your priorities. Like if you want to go to government college, then you have to get certain marks and then you can get entry into it. So going to a government college is always better than going to a private college in many ways, because the fee structure is less, the infrastructure is better, you have more opportunities in government sector than private sector. But private colleges is also good. Going to a very good private college which has good infrastructure, good teaching faculties, good opportunities is also not bad. Okay. So that depends upon your priorities. We can't say this is good and this is bad. Completely dependent upon what you want. There are post PG courses also. So many people don't know this, that there are fellowship and certificate courses from different government and private institutions. There is a PhD course. Many universities offer PhD in homeopathic subjects. You can do PhD from deemed university, from a government university, from a private university. And all the fellowship and certificate courses are different in different uh, states. Like, for example, I have done fellowship course in advanced homeopathy from the Other Song Academy. And Other Song Academy is situated in Mumbai, and it is also affiliated by MUHS, Maharashtra University of Health Sciences. Second thing, one more fellowship type which I know is available in MP from Government College Bhopal, which is also affiliated by Jabalpur Medical University. So MP MSU Jabalpur. Okay. So likewise, in Kerala also they provide fellowship courses or diploma courses. So there are different courses available in different states, and this you can pursue after MD or after certain years of practice. And PhD, of course, you can do after MD. There are some other courses also. So a lot of people don't know about other options available to homeopathy. If you don't want to practice, if you don't want to take job in the homeopathic uh, community, Then there are alternatives also. You can go for MHSC, which is Master of Health Science in Clinical Child Development. Then Master of Science in Clinical Nutrition and Dietetics. If somebody has, that interest towards diet and regimen, then you can go for clinical nutrition diet course. Then a Master of Hospital Administration, you might have seen a lot of people does MHA or MBA in hospital administration, and then they would take up the jobs in different hospitals for, for administrating things. This is also a very good option for homeopathic graduates. Then there is certificate course in human genetics. I'm just giving you some glimpses which are available. There are n number of courses available. Then we have Master of Business Management, MBA in Hospital Administration, MSc Psychology, Diploma in Medical Trichology. A lot of people want to pursue career in only in in skin and hair, so they can do this diploma. MBA in Hospital and Health Systems Management. This is all available, on the internet. If you put the course, you'll get all the details. MSc in Epidemiology, if somebody is interested in public health. I know one of my friend who's working for WHO. He's a homeopath, but he has done this course, MSc in Epidemiology, and then also Masters in Public Health. And then he went to WHO and he's working for some schemes over there. MSc Medical Anatomy, you can be a professor or lecturer in a medical college, whether homeopathy college or medical college, by doing this course, MSc Medical Anatomy. If you have passion for teaching, then you can pursue MSc Medical Physiology, Medical Biochemistry, Biosciences and Biotechnology, Biosciences in Mycology. In neuroscience, you can do MSc, Applied Psychology. You can do diploma in food and nutrition, in genetics, etc., etc. You can also do counseling and physical therapy. Then PGDGM, a lot of people does this, postgraduate diploma in hospital and health management. PGDMD, postgraduate diploma in disability management. If you have interest in treating and managing disabled patients, then this can be a very good career for you. And when we talk about other options, there are a lot of options. First of all, the best option I consider is personally is private medical practice, because this gives you a lot of freedom. You can, you can work on your own timings. Um uh, you can see patients of whatever kind you want, and you can earn very well in private medical practice, because that has huge scope. That has no limitation at all. Okay, so this is first option. Second option is you can work in the insurance sector. A lot of people talk about only jobs which are in medical sector. So insurance sector is also one area where you can find out jobs. We will talk about each thing individually, but just to tell you that you can become a private like medical officer in private medical college or government medical college, whatever. You can take up consultancies. You can be a consultant of somebody, exclusively for a company, for a person, for an official. Then you can also work in pharmacy or pharma industry. If we talk about 10 years back, nobody wanted to actually go into pharma industry because people used to only practice. But these days, this is a very lucrative career in pharma industry, because, according to one survey by Ayush, they say the market share of Ayush systems. And if we talk only about homeopathy, the homeopathic market share of 2024 is about 16,000 crore, which is a huge market. So when we talk about pharma, it is also a very rewarding career financially. And if you have passion towards creating medicine, making, manufacturing, selling, trading, then this is a very good option. Then you can also go into life science industry, which is very close to pharma. Then healthcare, okay, and teaching. So let's talk about, these things individually. Are you able to understand? Thank you, Team Swara. Yes. Okay. So in insurance sector, a lot of people ask what you can do exactly. So you can become a consultant of an insurance company. Okay. So this is a job of a medical officer only. You become a consultant to their employees. Second option is you can become a claim settlement officer for the company. Okay. So this is if you search on internet or look at the website which provides job, you will get lot of options as a claim settlement officer. So this is a sort of corporate job where you have to spend like 8 to 10 hours, and you have to approve the claims which comes to the insurance company. Okay. Then as a medical officer, it's not office, it's officer, as a medical officer to the company or for the company. So in insurance sector, you can get jobs. You can definitely go for it and just check different websites. You'll get the job options there. Then there are a lot of private medical colleges which has different, peripheral OPD, main OPD, and they would always appoint the medical officers for their different OPDs and IPDs also. Sometimes IPDs, mostly OPDs. So you can join a private medical college or hospital as a medical officer, senior consultant or junior consultant in their IPD, OPD. This is also a very good job opportunity because we have more private medical colleges as compared to government medical college. You can join government college also, but that needs you to clear the competitive exams. You have to go to the government college either through UPSC exam or a state PSC exam. So that's a different sector. But in private college, you can just go through the prescribed norms, whatever interviews or exams they conduct, you can join that easily. Then hospitals also provide the jobs to homeopaths as an assistant doctor. So I'm talking about homeopathic hospital as well as allopathic hospitals. If you want to do jobs in allopathic hospitals, there are certain legal limitations because some states like Maharashtra and Gujarat, they would provide it because it's legal over there, but not in MP and other states, few other states. So few states allow a homeopath to be an assistant doctor or a duty doctor or a junior senior consultant in an allopathic hospital. Some does not. So you have to check according to your state and then you can join these jobs. But if not allopathic hospital, homeopathic hospitals would definitely take you as a medical officer. I know that you would say that there are very few homeopathic hospitals, yes, but whatever number is there, it is there. So, we cannot ignore this possibility. And if you are someone who's really passionate about treating acute cases, treating emergency cases, and things like that, you can start your own hospital if you have all the resources. You can do this uh, along with somebody who can be your partner or who is very passionate about starting a homeopathic hospital. You can do that yourself, and rather than searching for a job, you can provide a job to many people. Then I spoke about consultancy, that you can be a consultant. So there are consultants appointed in government sector, for governor, for railways, for different machinery of government, for ministries, or for some official person or industry. And these jobs are generally published on websites and newspapers and social media. So you have to keep checking that. Okay, so this is one option. Then online consultation. I would say this is a completely new avenue, and it has developed over last maybe 4 5 years. Uh, and this is a booming industry because being a homeopath, uh, we just have to take the case well, and that can happen you know, through a telemedicine. So a lot of people are providing online consultations from distance, and this is going great. So you can also think about that. So, so online platform you can create for yourself, or there are other online platforms where you can create your profile and provide your services to people sitting far away from you. So you don't have to own a physical clinic. It is not necessary in today's era where the uh, distance educations, distance treatment, and everything distance is growing up. So online consultation is also a great way to head to give a good head start to your career. Then in schools also, there are a lot of schools I have seen, private schools, government schools, they have opening for Ayush doctor as a consultant. Okay, and it can be any Ayush system. And many prefer only homeopaths. I'm telling you, it is very, very important that to know that schools, and especially, homeopathy is popular amongst children. So it totally depends upon management and the demand from the parents. If the parents are very aware about homeopathy, they can demand to a school that you keep a homeopathic consultant, and they can do this. So there are job openings in schools and colleges as well. Then there are corporate companies I know who hire homeopaths for their OPD consultation for employees, for the company employees. So it is also a great opportunity. Then you can become a publisher or a writer or a researcher or editor in magazines. There are so many journals, whether they are peer reviewed journals or non peer reviewed journals, or bi monthly, annual, monthly, different type of journals and magazines are there. If you have passion for writing, then you can be a writer uh, for the magazines, the newspaper. There are newspapers also in homeopathy, or for book publishing companies. So we know that there is IBPP, there is BGen, there are other publishers also. And if you want to uh, become a book writer only, you can do it for somebody else as well. There are people who are writing their books, but they need some help. They need book writers basically. So those who have good command over language and want to become a writer, you can definitely apply to book publishing companies or magazines or research journals or normal journals or people who are writing books. I know some of my friends who take help from somebody else to write their books, and it's a great way to build up your career, because this is also a distant job. You can do it from anywhere, and there are certain deadlines and certain skills required, like the command over language, passion for writing, uh, and all those things. If you have that, you can definitely go for it. Okay, I guess this is an underrated and underused opportunity by many homeopaths, but this is a great uh, scope in building your career as a publisher, as a writer. Then you can definitely work as a virtual assistant, or I would say software developer or reseller or something like that in the world of, because homeopathic software companies are growing like anything. Okay, there are so many companies like Homepath, Radar, Synergy Homeopathic, and some others also. And they hire professionals to propagate their product, their services, or even in building the whole software. Because I'm not talking about the technical part of software development, but I'm talking about the content part. Okay. So they need homeopathic professionals to build up this. There are people required for website development also. If someone wants to, suppose I want to develop my own website, okay, and I don't have enough time, I can hire a virtual assistant and who can, do all the manual stuff for me. So you can apply to such people also. You should ask them that, can I be your virtual assistant? You can develop your own portfolio and send it to them. I would highly recommend to develop some skill, and then, talk to different people, talk to the peers of um, your field, and ask them that whether they have any opportunity. And I know so that some of them would definitely give you a positive answer. So work for homeopathic software companies, work for e-magazines. There are so many e-magazines, e-journals, and they would also need homeopaths to write out the stuff, and websites. Then, like I said, for pharmacy, you can start a pharmacy shop of your own. You just have to uh, take the licenses and do all the compliances and start your own pharmacy. Then, if you are really passionate about making medicine, manufacturing, you can start your own manufacturing unit with all necessary approvals. So, these approvals, there is a whole list of compliances which we have to do. But yes, if you are passionate about it, it's not that difficult. There are consultants which will tell you what are the things available or what are the things necessary to start your own manufacturing unit, and you can do that. And if you don't have that many resources, you can join a established pharmaceutical company for different roles. Okay. Then you can also start an online medicine delivering pharmacy. Okay, you can have an inventory and deliver the medicine on doorstep. Okay. Then let's talk about government opportunities. So there are Ayush medical officers in primary health centers, uh, community health centers, and in tertiary care also. So government has few opportunities for Ayush practitioners. Of course, in homeopathy, it is less, but still, we cannot ignore that. Whenever the vacancy comes, it is different in different states. So you can apply for that. They would conduct an exam or an interview depending upon the regulation, and they can apply. They can employ you as a medical officer in PHC, CHC, or different healthcare program. Also, as a program developer, homeopathy is taking boom in public health sector as well. Earlier, it was not considered for preventive healthcare, but now a lot of initiatives have been taken by government to use this whole uh, manpower into public health initiatives. Like for example, few years back, MP, my state, has done a malaria control program. And this malaria control program, I'm just telling you for the for the information. So this malaria control program was run by Ayush physicians. And in that, lot of, different channels were created, and then awareness was created. And it was a very successful program from the government side. There is hemophilia research going on. There are a lot of researches going on, and that is being used in public healthcare after, being published, or you can reach to the government with your work if you're doing work on certain thing. You can reach out to the government officials and say that, okay, I have done this work and this could be helpful in public health initiative, and they might consider it. So there are a lot of opportunities as a medical officer, but also there are opportunities in different healthcare schemes or programs from the government. Then comes the teaching part. So if you have done MD in homeopathy, or you are pursuing MD, or if you want to do it in future, You can be a lecturer, professor, principal of any government or private college. That again depends upon your interest, passion, and available opportunities. And if you are only passionate about teaching and don't want to join a conventional path, then you can be a teacher like me, like, in your own coaching or in your own institution, in your own initiative. Like we have started our own academy because I was very passionate. I am still about teaching and sharing what I know. So you can do that also. Or you can join a private institution or a person or academy to teach if they provide you any such opportunity. You have to just ask them. So teaching is also a great profession for those who have passion for teaching. Then there are hospital jobs, like I said, hospital administration. There are jobs in clinical research. You can become a duty doctor in hospitals approved in some states, in allopathic hospitals. Homeopathic hospitals, obviously, you can join if you want to. Then there are some new opportunities which are booming from maybe last 4 5 years or 10 years, I would say. Before 10 years, these opportunities were not available in abundance. But now homeopathy is just, it's booming like anything. So first is chain clinics. There are a lot of corporate companies which are which have chain clinics in different areas, either of the same city or the state or nation, and they are providing job opportunities to young professionals who are graduated or post-graduated in homeopathy, like Batras, Nama Homeopathy, uh, there is Aditya Homeopathy in Kerala. So a lot of chain clinics are available. Then startup opportunity. You can start your own startup, whatever you want to do, whether it is a chain clinic or a pharmacy or manufacturing unit or trading or anything in homeopathy. Government is supporting the startup community a lot. So you can have a startup in homeopathy. Okay. Then there are new institutions in private sector specifically. So there are so many new institutions coming up in the educational space, in the pharmaceutical space, in the publishing space. You can join these new institutions. These are also startups. But I want to tell you one thing about startup is that it is a very challenging space. If you are ready to take up that challenge, if you are ready to do that hard work, it will be very rewarding, after some time. Initially, they might pay you uh, low, or you have to hustle a little bit, hustle hard. You have to do a lot of hard work, but it would be rewarding after some time. So if you have joined a startup, or if you're thinking about joining somebody who has just started, then believe yourself and believe them, it will grow up in some time. Then there are a lot of opportunities in research in homeopathy, because only through research we can prove a lot of our advantages. Okay. So a lot of people are doing independent research or research with different institutions like colleges, research institutions like CCRH. They would also provide you job opportunities. So you can be a research associate, research scientist in different organizations. Then there are some new avenues in homeopathy which you need to explore. For example, veterinary homeopathy. Recently, one university has launched a diploma course in veterinary homeopathy in a veterinary college. Can you imagine? So I believe a lot of homeopaths actually treat vet patients, but legally, if veterinary surgeons or veterinary doctors learn about homeopathy, it will be, revolutionary to know that how homeopathy can help in treating uh, animals as well. Homeopathy is extremely useful for humans, animals, as well as plants. So the new avenue is homeopathy for agriculture, agro-homeopathy. There are a lot of people who are actually doing researches, experiments, and things in agriculture. For example, my husband, Dr. Weber, he's very passionate about working in agro-homeopathy. This is a new avenue. If you are passionate about it, if you also love plants, you can also uh, think or consider doing it. Homeopathy for public health initiatives as preventive measures. I told you there are a lot of researchers happening. And we can use homeopathy in improving the rural health through various programs. A lot of people complain that the rural people don't understand homeopathy. They don't want to take the meaty goli. They just want injections. But I want to tell you, people just want to get cured. If you counsel them, make them understand how it works, what it is, in short, they will be ready to take it. Because every patient just wants to get better somehow. So there are other fields like anatomy, physiology, epidemiology. We earlier spoke about it. Community medicine, public health, PG. You can do PG and get jobs in all these fields. Okay. So these are some opportunities available in India. I hope you have got a glimpse of, in which sector you can go or you want to go, and you got some information about it. I hope so. And it would be useful for you. Now I want to talk about private practice in detail, because in that also people have a lot of questions. When I was promoting this session, a lot of people sent me their questions related to how to set up practice, what to do, what not to do. So I decided to talk about this particular section in detail. Would you like to listen to this about how to set up clinic, what to do, a sort of beginner's guide to how to build a successful clinic? Yes, great. So let's go ahead. So as a beginner, we always feel little uh, underconfident, insecure that whether we will be able to establish our practice or not, and how my clinic will run, and how much I will earn, and all those questions are there. So there is no definite answer to this question, but there are few frameworks which you can follow, and these frameworks, these basic guidelines will just help you to start with more confidence than what you have already. Okay, it would definitely instill some confidence in you, and I will tell you from my own experience that what mistakes to avoid and what are the things which you should keep in mind to have a good clinic setup and to have a good practice. Okay. So as a beginner, we all think about this, how to start clinic, where to start, how to handle follow-ups, how to repeat, how one can increase the reach to patients, and how to become financially stable. Ultimate goal is becoming financially stable, isn't it? This is the ultimate goal we have, right? So I will share how to do that step by step. Okay. Okay. So there are three things, according to me, which you should keep in mind. One is your clinic setup. Okay, so we will talk about how to do setup and what are the basic things required. Second, we have to think about patients, how to communicate with them, how to do follow-ups, and I mean, in short, how to deal with patient thing. Okay, setup is thoda mechanical. Patient handling is handling human resource and humans uh, in a professional setup. And third is how to improve your own mindset, how to keep up with the demanding society community. Okay, so let's talk about clinic setup first. So, one principle I would recommend all of you to follow and to stick to is, please be a good doctor before becoming a good homeopath. You have to know the basics. A lot of people just ignore the basic stuff and they think that they will become a successful homeopath. By becoming a good doctor, I want to say that, you have to know the basics of being a good doctor. So we have to study very hard. We have to know the physiology, the pathology, the basic principles of medicine very well. We have to understand the disease. We have to understand the patient. And then we have to understand the homeopathic principles. Okay. So before becoming homeopath, if you are very good in case taking, it's a great skill. Congratulations. But if you are a rude person to patients, I'm sorry, it is not going to work. Okay. If you don't know the normal physiology, but you are a good case taker, it is again not going to help. If you don't know the basics of investigation, the basics of diagnosis, and you are good prescriber, then also it is not going to help because there will be some uh, lacking in your prescription. So that's why I said, before becoming a good homeopath, always remember you are a doctor, so be a good one and do whatever is beneficial for patient. Keep your patient above anything, above your system of medicine, above yourself, your personal gain, professional gain, anything. Do whatever is beneficial for patient. By saying this, I mean to say that if referring the patient is necessary at some point of time, do it. If doing an investigation for a patient is necessary, do it. If you have to make the patient understand about do's and don'ts, diet, regimen, lifestyle change, do it because it is beneficial for him. And if even sometime it happens that it's not beneficial for you to refer because that's a loss, still do it because that is necessary. That is important. Then only you will have a successful practice. Don't be insecure. Be confident. The patient will come back to you. And if you do what is beneficial for patient will remember that. Right? So the great physician treats the patient who has the disease. The average physician treats the disease. And in homeopathy, we have the principle. We don't treat the disease, we treat the patient. Right? Always remember, this is very important. First principle of medicine is love. Compassion is the most important thing. If you are compassionate towards patient, it will reward you in different ways. It will give you name, it will give you fame, trust, mouth publicity. You will have a lot of patience, enough money for yourself. But this is the most important thing. And keep yourself updated with latest advances in the medical world. Don't get stuck. A lot of people say, okay, I use centesimal potency and I don't use LM scale at all. Why? I would like to ask them why you don't want to use something which is more advanced, which is written in the books and which is helpful for you. You have to keep yourself updated. And also not only about homeopathy, but in normally in general about different treatments available, different options available. Recently uh, I had a case which was referred by a homeopath only, and it was a case of a cancer. And this doctor who referred to me uh, was a young fellow, and he told patient that you don't have to take immunotherapy because it's not useful. But in that particular type of cancer, immunotherapy could be useful. So we cannot, say something which we are not sure about or we are not updated about. So I just called the this friend of mine and I told him that, it is necessary for the patient to get immunotherapy. It could be helpful. So, let's start our treatment, but let's also start immunotherapy because patient was completely dependent upon your suggestion. And he also understood. He agreed to that. So that's why we have to keep updated because whatever we are reading today, learning today is going to save somebody's life. So we have to pay attention. Yeah. So let's start the practice. What is the first step? First step is find out a good place. Location is very important. Locality is very important. You have to look around at what kind of public is there, what kind of shops are there, if it's a commercial space, if it is a residential space, whether it will be easily reachable or not, whether people would understand your address easily or not. All these things you should keep in mind. It should be easily approachable, basically. Okay. And if you're taking a place in a multi-story building, if it is a tall building, then it should have a lift if it is beyond second floor. Even, for disabled patient and for patients who are having problems in walking or ascending, then you should have lift. If lift is not available, please make sure that, you should have a clinic not beyond first floor, I would say. Either ground or first. That is advisable. It should be quiet, calm, comfortable setting. Space is not important. By saying space means, I'm not saying that you should have a huge space. That's not important. But whatever space you have, whether it is 200 square feet or 2000 square feet or 20,000 square feet, that doesn't matter. But it should be comfortable, quiet, calm sitting. Okay. And find out a place where more population is educated or aware so that they are already aware, because in starting, you have to, there is a waiting period of some few months to maybe few years, 2 3 years. So if you don't want to take chance, then it would be better if you select such area, like, more urban area or something semi-urban sort of. But if that's not possible, it's okay. If that's not possible, try to organize awareness camps. If patient is aware about homeopathy, using homeopathy, it's very good. If people are not aware, it's our duty to make them aware. So organize awareness camps. You can also organize, dialogues in different NGOs, schools, that how homeopathy works, what is it, show some results, something like that. And this will really help you in long term. So just make people aware about it. And then there are some essential items in the clinic which you must have, like table, chair, sofa, waiting area, general medical instruments. Don't forget that I'm not mentioning everything, but you should have a sphygmomanometer, a stethoscope, uh, oxygen meter, and things like that. These are basic instruments, a weight machine. And very important is an examination table. Don't forget that. A lot of homeopaths think, especially as a beginner, that we don't need examination. No, you're, like I said, you're a doctor first. You have to examine the patient. So examination table is must. Chota ho chalega, but you should have it. If possible, I would recommend hire a receptionist. It helps you to manage money matters and also in organizing clinic in a better way. So the receptionist will handle the financial matters and you will be free from that one responsibility. You can focus on, treatment more. And also there will be some discipline regarding paying your consultation fee, paying the medicine fee, etc., and managing your own accounts also. It is very, very important to have a good pharmacy of your own or in nearby of area of your clinic. And it has to be a well equipped pharmacy with availability of majority drugs. If you are keeping your own pharmacy, it's always better because patient don't have to go somewhere and you can dispense your own medicine. But then you have to organize it very well, arrange it, and keep your stock updated. Then books to refer, like bedside prescriber or repertory or something. These books are must in the clinic. Without them, we cannot practice. Then if not books, then software. Okay, software is a great investment. One must have it. A lot of people think that it is a waste of money to buy a software. It is not. It is total investment. And presentation of your clinic should be neat, clean, and attractive. This is very, very important. Then let's talk about marketing, promotion, and advertising. So it is very, very important that you have to tell people that your clinic exists. Otherwise, they would never know it. And in today's world, marketing is very easy through social media. And of course, there are old ways, the pamphlet distribution, organizing camps. These are some of the activities which you can do for sure. But you can also advertise your clinic, your services on social media, on websites, different ad pages. This, and you have to do it consistently. We don't get results because we don't do it consistently. And give more emphasis on overall experience of a patient in your clinic and not only a treatment. How your receptionist behaves, in what time he gets the medicine, in what time the consultation happens, uh, whether the patient is told the do's and don'ts, how he is treated, how he is feeling in your clinic. This whole overall experience will actually make him come to you again. So if you make a patient feel better when he's with you or in your clinic premise, this gives him a good vibe. Whenever we go to a restaurant or a place or anybody's house, we would always sense a vibe, isn't it? And we would like to go to places where the vibe is good. Do you agree with me or not? I have really understood this a very hard way. Earlier, I used to think that only treatment is important, but that's not the case. If your clinic gives a good vibe to the patient, then he would probably recommend others to come to you and he would also come to you again. Some of recommendations which I want to give you: focus on your patient one thing at a time. I have seen a lot of beginners, and I have also done this mistake myself that, I used to think about if I have, like, say, three patients, okay, in my waiting area and one patient in front of me, I would think that, oh, I have to, finish the case ASAP because three people are waiting for me, what they will be thinking, what they will say. So please don't do this. One thing at a time, just focus on your patient. During case taking, do not think about time or if more patients are sitting in waiting room. Don't get anxious because this will hamper the quality of your service. And if you can't treat one patient nicely with proper attention, the whole effort is wasted. Just focus on that patient with whom you're dealing right now. And for rest of the patients, please, that's why I said having a receptionist always works, because then there will be somebody who can handle these patients who are waiting outside. And just tell patients that it's a clinic. You have to take out some time for yourself. It might take some time. You might have to wait for some time. No phone calls or disturbance while talking to a patient. That just disturbs the narration flow. That there should be nothing which disturbs the patient. Otherwise, again, your effort is wasted. Try to put your 100% in each case. As a beginner, we have enough time. Okay. So if you are not able to understand the case, please do your homework, take the case, work on that, try to focus on key areas, try to discuss that with your colleagues, seniors, and then give the medicine to the patient after understanding. Until then, you can also give placebo. That is also okay. But put your 100% effort. If you feel that you are not able to handle so many cases at a time, give different slots. Have appointment system. Different slot for new cases and follow-up cases. This will be really good for your practice. Never say no to any case. As a beginner, we say no to many cases. Just say, I will try my best. This shows your sincerity, and patient will understand that, okay, doctor is trying. And also at the same time, never make fake promises. Don't say homeopathy can treat everything. You will be 100% cured. हमारे इसमें क्योर ही होता है. Don't say this. This is a myth. You just have to say, I will try. No fake promises at all. Focus on your strengths and develop them. This is very important. Focus on your strength, what you can do best. Just focus on that, develop them. Focus on your results and learn from failure. Your practice has to be result oriented. So for that, you have to study hard, you have to understand things, you have to keep yourself updated, discuss things, and put a lot of hard work into your work, into your profession. Never settle for an average result. Try to learn in each follow-up. Whenever follow-up is coming, please put 100% attention. Take that case as a new case. Even in follow-up, you will definitely understand something new. Okay? And this is a big question. A lot of beginners have asked me, what is the best way to handle follow-up? So my take is, take it as a new case. By saying this, what I mean to say is that don't ignore any aspect of the information which you are receiving in a follow-up. Treat it as a new case. And then compare it with your previous prescription. Whether that goes with the new information, if yes, continue the medicine. If that doesn't go with the new information, then you have to rethink. And secondly, I would like to say that bad memory is the greatest gift for being a good homeopath. Because if you have a very good memory about previous prescription, then you will be biased about it. It's very difficult to change the prescriptions. If you don't remember the remedy, that means you can think about a new one. Or you can think about whatever is required. If you are not sure of the remedy, give placebo confidently. It helps in majority of cases. People say, in Organon, they say it's a second best remedy. I would say placebo is the first best remedy also. Always helps. And don't worry about failures. Everybody fails. Best of physicians also fail. Do not fear failure. I have learned from great masters, but I have seen them failing in many cases. But after seeing that also, my confidence in homeopathy and my teachers are not even 1% less. Because I know that best of people fail, and failure means you have tried. There was something wrong. You need to understand that wrong and correct it. Just be ready to learn from anything and everything, even from patients, from your clients, from your staff, from teachers, from juniors, colleagues. Always be ready to learn, and you'll be a great person each day. 1% better every day. Be ready to integrate newer methodologies. Don't get stuck by anything. Okay, don't get stuck to a school. Don't get stuck to a method of prescription. Don't get stuck to a potency. Don't get stuck to a scale. Don't get stuck to a book. Don't get stuck. Life is moving. Be free. A lot of people ask me whether I use only sensation method. I want to tell you no. See, if patient gives me sensation, I would use sensation. If patient gives me physical generals or only clinical symptoms or only pathological symptoms, how would I apply a different method to it? No, I would not. A lot of people ask me, do you use only this Kent repertory or Fatak repertory or any, complete repertory? My answer is no. I would use whatever is required. Don't get stuck. It will help you. If a case is not getting better for a very long time, after working on it, after trying very hard, please refer the patient to someone whom you trust. It could be a colleague, it could be a senior, it could be a junior, it could be a teacher, it could be a some other homeopath or an allopath or whoever specialist it is. Please refer. Like I said, it is beneficial for patient. You have to do it. Integrate other methodologies, whatever healing modalities you require. If physiotherapy is required, integrate. If meditation is required, yoga is required, whatever is required, integrate. Even if modern medicine is required, integrate. Never forget diet and regimen. Hahnemann has written in some aphorisms the importance of diet, exercise. And of course, these days we see a lot of, lifestyle problems, lifestyle diseases. So it is extremely important not to forget healthy lifestyle. Sorry. Sorry for my cough. So never forget that. Most of modern age diseases will require one or all of the above things in order to get cured. So learn this and apply. You can also refer the patient for expert advice. Suppose you need a dietitian's help for weight loss, for managing hormonal imbalance, or for managing a hormonal disorder, then take help of them or be the one. Okay. If you want, you have passion for nutrition, you can do a diploma course or a PG course in that and integrate that thing into your practice. Never create fear about disease. Make the patient comfortable. Just talk to them about it. Lot of people come to a homeopath because they are good listeners. I'm telling you, this is a great skill of of being a doctor. This is a great skill of anybody who can listen calmly. And then never forget to check vitals. Do a complete checkup. Physical checkup is very important. That's why I said examination tables zaruri hai. And differential diagnosis. Never miss a diagnosis. Okay. So this we spoke about setup and how to deal with patients. Two aspects. Okay. There are some other aspects like type of patients. So there are different types of patients, different types of people basically, and homeopathy teaches us individualization. Like, so if we talk about charges and how to handle these type of patients, some of them will argue with you about charges. Some of them will accept everything. Some of them will say negative things uh, you know uh, about your charges, about your services, and things like that. So you have to charge things or you have to handle them according to their behavior and habits. If you know a person who's patient of yours for a very long time and he has a certain habit of missing the follow-up or of uh, not paying you or arguing with you, you have to consider that as his habit or as his nature and then behave accordingly. So this is also on the go. You have to learn that how to do things according to different types of people. Okay. And there are some common tips which I will give you. First of all, go with patient psychology. Don't try to mold them much. Whatever you say, it doesn't matter because it's their nature. So you have to understand that and behave. Follow the protocol. Okay, the medical protocol. If the investigation is necessary, diagnosis necessary, if taking certain treatment is necessary, if reporting that case to the government of officials is necessary, you have to do it. You cannot break the protocol. It will be better for you if you do things in a legal framework. Okay. Make rules for your own work pattern. If you want to go to clinic only in the morning hours, do that, but follow that with certain discipline. If you don't want to entertain your patients post 8 p.m., 9 p.m., or whatever time, then please tell them not to disturb you in that time. This will create discipline. From day one, you have to do it. Otherwise, there would be no demarcation between your personal and professional life, and you will be stuck and you will be frustrated in very short time. So I'm just telling you this to, to not get frustrated, to stay happy for a long time. No phone talks during case taking. And just tell your patients also, this will not disturb your case taking. If you have an assistant, don't handle money matters. This is my biggest learning. Don't handle that. Never give extra medicines because they can abuse it. And this can create some aggravation or, some problems. And please exhibit a professional behavior. Okay? It can't be personal. It has to be a professional behavior. Counseling is as important as medicine. You have to explain certain things to patient and counsel them if it is necessary. And if the case is failing, do's and don'ts will open a window into failing cases. So if patient is doing something that could be a maintaining cause of the disease. For example, if you are handling a diabetic case, you are giving the medicine, you are doing everything, the medicine is right, you're confident about it, and still the sugar spikes are happening. If it is not stable, then please ask the patient whether it is if he is compliant with all the diet and regimen and lifestyle things, whether he's eating sugar or not, things like that. So these do's and don'ts will open up a window. If he's doing it, very good. If he's doing something which you said that he doesn't have to do, then you have to tell him or tell her that, this is very important to follow. This is my instruction. If you want to treat your relatives, I would, recommend you to refer them to your colleague because that will be better for them and you. Call them at clinic and don't do the treatment for free, because if you do FOC all the time, they will take you for granted, and nobody wants to, uh, wants to be taken as granted. Then, role of investigation. So we have to be aware about all the investigations and normal values so that, physiology and pathology. We have to know what is pathological, what is physiological, and what is the importance of particular investigation in particular disease. It is very important. It helps you to diagnose the case well. So this you can learn from, from your colleagues, seniors, or if you're attending someone's clinic for some time, then they will tell you that how to diagnose things, how to do it clinically, and things like that. It builds up the confidence in case, and it builds the confidence of a patient and doctor because, you're recommending the investigation. In today's world, people are very, very aware. They would read Google and come to you. And if you don't recommend them test, some of them will feel that, you don't know the basics of uh, medical practice. So don't ignore that. And it happens that a lot of us are insecure about referring patients, about doing, our own thing, about referring them to an investigation center. So the reason behind that is that we are comparing ourselves, our current state, with somebody who is 10 years senior to us, who's 5 years senior to us, or who have already lived the journey. So don't compare, this quote I really loved, that the reason we struggle with insecurity is because we compare our behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. So in highlight, if I want to make a reel, I would only show a good part. I would not show my struggle. I would not show my failure. So don't compare with that. Everybody fails. Everybody has their own share of their own piece of struggle, problems, and frustrations. But that doesn't mean that you will not be successful. And you're comparing the wrong thing with them. So don't do that. Be confident and just hustle hard. This is what I want to tell you. Hustle hard and you will be very, very successful. Homeopathy is a very rewarding, and I would say homeopathy is the most satisfying career one can have. If I want to say uh, in one word that what homeopathy gives you in life, I would say satisfaction of helping somebody very gently. Very gently. It just creates magic. So my final tips are: start confidently, don't be underconfident. Start confidently. Medical practice is a journey. That's why it is called as practice and not a destination. Okay. So every day you will learn something, and you will never be 100% ready. If you think that I'll be 100% ready and then I will start, this is not going to happen ever. You just start today and learn on the go. Homeopathy is art and science both. So learn and practice the science and explore the artist within. Keep growing as an artist, keep learning. Develop your art and share it with the world, and do not focus on only remedy, focus on healing. Sometimes only case taking will heal the patient. Sometimes different remedies will heal the patient. Sometimes series of remedies will heal the patient. And sometimes, patient will be healed by some dietary changes, some lifestyle changes. So focus on healing. And please believe yourself. This is the hardest part, that we don't believe ourselves. If you believe yourself, everything is achievable. Every career is a great career, whether it is being a homeopath or being a chaiwala, doesn't matter. It's great. Believe yourself and be true to yourself and profession. It will give you immense satisfaction. And the biggest gift of being true to your patient is it helps you heal from within. If you are doing your work with 100% sincerity, I'm telling you, healing patient is a is a professional gain. But this healing will create some healing within you as well, which is a personal gain as well. That's why I said homeopathy is a very, very satisfying career. It gives you a lot of satisfaction. Take every consultation as an opportunity to create some amount of healing. And for that, not always medicine is required. Sometimes only case taking is, some gentle words are enough. And the secret of doing a good practice or having a good career is in routine. So you have to build up your routine, series of practices, daily rituals, daily routine. And please keep things simple. Don't make it complicated for you. Do whatever you can, what you cannot, just leave for some moment and try to learn that on the go. Focus and keep working on your attitude and your skills. Be a compassionate person. And please keep reading books. This will just open up the entire world for you. The books are magical. And work on your focus. You should have a laser like focus on results, on your own practice, or on your own career. Even if you're doing a job, if you give 100%, I have seen a lot of people, they do jobs just for the sake of doing it, and just for passing their time. They don't have any focus. And they also think that this job, they treat job as a job and not as a work where they have to give 100%. They are doing it for somebody else, and that's why they don't put 100%. But what I have understood is, even if it is job for you and you are doing it for financial stability or something, but if you put your 100%, this will help you in making your own startup, your own career, or your own clinic more stable. This will improve you as a professional, as a person. So please put your 100%, even if that job is for somebody else. Don't think that you're not losing anything by just doing your thing with 100% sincerity. And this is also a big shortcoming I have seen, that a lot of us have, that we don't want to uh, do work for somebody else. That is okay if you are doing it for some time, isn't it? And learn from the mistakes. Success is not final, failure is not fatal. You have to have the courage to continue. Please continue. I have had so many failures in my own practice. I have done so many mistakes, and that's why I'm able to tell you that don't do these mistakes. If somebody is telling you that these are the mistakes you should avoid, I'm telling you he's the person or she's the person who has done most of the mistakes. I'm the one. And I admit that. And only after admitting it, I was able to improve those mistakes, I'm telling you. And, by getting injured, I have learned that how to avoid accidents, how to avoid injury. And that is what I'm sharing with you. So thank you so much for attending this session with sincerity. I would definitely uh, look forward for your feedbacks, for your experience of this session. And if you want to ask me any question, I'm open for that. Please share your feedback. And what did you learn? Thank you, Dr. Anand. Thank you, Dr. Sumbul. Thank you, Dr. Hansi. I'm really glad you liked it. And I also want to announce the next session. So, in this whole series, I want to promise you that we will bring people from diverse fields who are doing, their practice or jobs or research or whatever. And we would like to uh, incorporate lot of topics of homeopathy, which are general confusions for beginners, for intermediate level, or even at senior level. If you have any suggestion for topic which you want to listen to, or which you want us to discuss, then please send your suggestions to us and we will definitely address that. And I want to announce the next session, which would be very, very interesting. This session will be taken up by Dr. Vismay Prajapati, who is one of my favorite uh, homeopaths. I have seen so much of passion and so much of dedication in this guy. He's from Gujarat and he's also a teacher in a college of organon. So he would be talking about organon. His topic is debunking mythical organon. And I'm really looking forward for this session of Revive the Basics 2.0, Session 2 by Dr. Vismay Prajapati, which will happen on 25th May. Very soon, we will put up the poster on all the social media pages. Please share this with your colleagues. Yeah, Dr. Priya. Yeah, he's your professor. That's very good. He's one of the favorite homeopaths of mine, and he's amazing. So I'm just looking forward for his session, and I'm looking forward for your contribution also. Please suggest us topics and whatever feedback you have. Thank you so much. And do follow our YouTube channel also, because we are going to share some glimpses on YouTube also. Asha Homeopathic Academy and Instagram page Homeopathy Junction. So, because we spoke about career opportunities today, I just want to introduce you to Homeopathy Junction. This is a one-stop page where all the updates related to homeopathy, whether they are events, job opportunities, or whatever is happening in homeopathy, all the new circulars are shared. This is available on Facebook and Instagram. So please follow Homeopathy Junction. This is the spelling. Okay. And there you can get to know about a lot of job opportunities. So you can just subscribe, and whenever there will be any post, you will get to know that. Thank you so much.